Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am the Desert Claw, and if you're just coming in, do me a favor and smash the like button and subscribe for more content. Helps out the channel, get all those things out of the way. And chapter 261, 262 is what we'll be talking about today in Fire Force, which will be the first thing we talk about. And that sprung up on us pretty quickly. We were behind a little bit because of our translators had to catch up. And the 263 Raw, I believe, is out. I might even get these chapters right. Let me make sure I'm not screwing this up. Yeah, 261, 262 out now. 263 Raw, ready to go. So if you want to peek at that, feel free. But we're going to be talking about those. Black Clover's current chapter. And my impressions of the first episode of Tokyo Revengers, which a viewer recommended, and I'm very glad they did because I actually liked what I saw so far. So, all right, so let's get into Fire Force, chapter 261. Vulcan and Arthur have arrived at the Dragon Lord's castle within the Dragon Quest game, and basically Arthur's thanking Vulcan for his assistance during this whole thing and how he's gotten this far. And how he's keeping cool in a crazy situation. He's just basically thanking him for being a great quality and great person. Arthur's just being very forward, which is really good. And Vulcan's kind of questioning what the heck he's up to. But then Arthur mentions that he can't stop thinking about you. And nobody really knows what's happened to him since that time where Giovanni took over his body. And then I had speculated, not really... it seemed very familiar to an old movie I saw, the original Fly, where it was possible that you and Giovanni's bodies switched, and since that's happened, and obviously Yu's body infernalized as well, or something. He turned into something. Don't know. It could have been something else. But so they're talking about that, and the interesting thing is Vulcan's going over the history of when you met him, and the first thing I want to point out here. And clearly everyone who's a fan of Okubo's work recognizes that doll he's wearing, or he's holding right there, is Excalibur from Soul Eater. Excalibur was the most hilarious, annoying weapon on the planet. Bakame. Voiced by the same voice actor as Dio, which is even funnier. I don't know what to think about all these Soul Eater cameos. I mean, they're everywhere. I have a theory... a lot of my theories haven't come out to be true. They're just fun theories. But now that Adolla and the real world have merged, it's perhaps likely that this Excalibur that Vulcan has built, and with Arthur's super duper imagination perception powers, that sword becomes sentient and becomes Excalibur once this whole event is complete. That is where I'm leaning towards there, and you'll see why later. So he's talking, he's like, sometime after Giovanni dealt with my dad and my grandpa, he started showing up day after day. He just kept showing up to Vulcan's office, and he asked every time if he'd be able to be his apprentice, and he was always holding the Excalibur doll, and you would just sometimes hang outside Vulcan's place all the time. And he talked about how orphans are usually taken in by the Holy Soul Church, but for some reason you did not want to go to one of those. I wonder why. Maybe you had a sixth sense that things aren't on the up and up on those orphanages. So, yeah, the Excalibur plushie is crazy, right? I totally agree again. And like, I just, you start thinking about those. The first time I saw the anime, like 2 episodes of Bakame. Like, I can't handle that. But you get like this close up of the Excalibur doll, and he basically said that he always carried around a doll made of odds and ends, and apparently you want to become an engineer, and that's why eventually Vulcan ended up taking him in. And then soon after, we know Lisa came because she was an undercover agent for Giovanni, and then they became a family. And he'd always talk about kind of like seeing you as like a little brother, because you would always imitate what Vulcan was doing. And he swore to protect him like he would as a big brother. So, you know, He said them. So I wonder if he saw himself as a big brother Lisa too, but clearly she's a romantic interest now. So maybe it's more like father, mother, son. Or maybe, I don't know. But Vulcan starts to break down that he couldn't save his family and keep them safe. And good old boy Arthur, man, just, you know, holds it together. And he just says, I'll fix it. I got this. I got you, bro. He basically says, you, Dragon, Shinra, wherever they are, with the Excalibur you built me, I will find a way. Like, he could say, I don't know what he means by that. I'm assuming he means that he considers, because he says you and Dragon, like he doesn't want to fix Shinra, because he probably sees Shinra as broken, because I think Arthur has always been able to see that Shinra is two people. So let's see here. And then we get a nice little close-up of the 8th, and they're helping people get through shelters, and they're trying to keep everyone's spirits up. But we actually even get a cameo from Maki's dad too. And just, why is nothing changing? Why is the cataclysm still go on? And then we get a close up of Licht and Joker. In the end, Licht says, in the end, the majority of humans are nothing but fuel for the fire for the one who sent this emotion. And he says that he can't help but feel like there is any reason in helping a worthless mob who does not comprehend the story happening around them, and just to run around panicking. And then Joker says something interesting. He says, you think mobs are worthless? And then Licht opines, no matter the era, civilizations are always constructed by a small portion of people that inhabit them. So he's basically saying the people that shine. Or like main characters in a story. We'll use it that way. Like, the more prominent characters are the things that often are seen by history or seen by whatever. And then evil Sumier pops in to talk to the viewer once again. It was not to talk to the 8th or everybody on Earth. She's talking to the viewer. She says, you are wasting your time, Fire Force. Who cares about a bunch of brainless insects? As long as powerful people are despairing, the cataclysm will never stop. And that's a key, because this is we get to see more of this on the chapter next that we'll talk about. But what she's saying is the main characters and the main villains are the only thing that matters. So you saving the quote unquote brainless mob from their fears is not going to stop what's happening. You have to convince the powerful that things will not be bad. That's what I take from that. And then Arthur eventually gets the main dragon and Dragon Question, and at that point he puts his controller down and says that he basically he got what he needed out of it. His preparation's complete, and he understands his burden that he has to take on. And he says, "I must conquer the real dragon." And this also kind of gives a little bit of weight to my theory that the Excalibur that was made by Vulcan is going to have its own will at some point, because he hands the sword to Vulcan and he says, "Hoist Excalibur towards the heavens and it will show you Yu's whereabouts." And he doesn't understand that. So that's the end of 261. 262 starts. And so Vulcan says, "Hoist it the heavens." Like, what do you mean? And he's like, "Once you do, it should lead us to you." He's like, "I can't do that, man. I don't got any powers." Oh yeah, Licht is totally like he's confused as heck because he can't make sense of the reality around him, and I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree. So Arthur explains that Excalibur is a holy blade forged not just by your hands, but also by Lisa and you. So it naturally would know how to find them. So he hoists it up in the air, and Vulcan hoists it up in the air, right here, and it goes into the sky, and then almost like a locator spell, like if you're playing D&D or something, it shines and shows the direction of where you is. And he's like, "How the heck did you do that?" And he's like, "We will use teleportation magic to reach you." So here's where we're going to call it Dragon Quest because it's what it is. But in Dragon Quest, every single Dragon Quest, the main character gets a spell called Zoom, which lets you teleport to towns you've already visited. Well, this right here shows you that imagination in Adolla is king. And Arthur just starts casting magic. He casts Zoom, and they fly off, and they find you, and you, back to another Soul Eater reference, you is no longer infernal. So I'm assuming because Adolla is so close, if infernals are all infernals, Captain Haig, Rekka, if he's an infernal, you, they all look human now. But you, still possessed by Giovanni, looks like a Kishin from Soul Eater. Like the same eyes, everything. It's just blowing my mind. I don't know if it's just... Every time I see stuff like this, like I said last time, is it a cameo or is it something more? Yeah, Arthur is busted because of his imagination. So people should follow what he's doing. I wonder if his power set's going to change. I wonder if everyone's power set's going to change if they believe it enough. Maybe it won't be just firepower. Maybe you'll see Arthur casting ice magic when needed, you know, because he played a video game that clearly has ice magic. I think it's called Crackle in Dragon Quest, or Crack. So you was just chilling on a fucking building, and he's waiting for the world to end so he can see it with his own eyes. And then behind him, in the frame, you get to see like a pixelated teleportation of Zoom. Although it says zap zap on there, so I'm assuming Arthur, when he comes down, he casts the zap or zapple spell from Dragon Quest. I think there's zap and there's zapple in the game. Zap is the single target, and zapple targets all monsters. And Arthur shows up, and Giovanni's like, "What the heck?" And then he doesn't understand how they got there. And then Vulcan's like screaming to give you back. And he's like, Giovanni says, "I've already become one with you's body. As a matter of fact, I wanted to thank you. With this body, my dream will come true. It'll nourish me." And, Vulcan wants you to get his body back. And he's like, he points to the top of his head with the Band-Aid on it. He says, "You're too late. I've already planted this parasite in you's brain." So we saw that earlier where we thought, thankfully, it doesn't look like it was true, that Giovanni and you switched places. And honestly, that would have been a really gruesome outcome. Even though it seemed like that's what the author was going for, it was a fake out. So Arthur immediately can see where the parasite is hiding. And with pinpoint accuracy, he supposedly takes out Giovanni for good. So I'm only saying supposedly because Giovanni is a cunning villain. And who knows how many backup parasites he has just out in the wild. So Arthur does this pinpoint laser shot from Excalibur, takes out Giovanni, and he does say something really cool. Because he has this very heroic moment with him. He says, "Men like you who clamber over the tiniest peaks at the world's surface in the end, you die knowing nothing. Get out of my sight, you filthy, cowardly insect." Like, if you are not rooting for Arthur in this series, if you hated Arthur from the beginning and you still hate him now, I don't know what's wrong with you. He's so cool. He's such a cool character. Yeah, he got one-shotted. Like, see you later, loser. But I'm still not counting him dead. He's too cunning of a villain. He could come back. Who knows? He could come back as a visual apparition if people can't let him go. Lisa, for example, is very traumatized by Giovanni. So we'll have to see. All right. And so we get you back. You wakes up. He still has, it looks like his face is still stitched up, so he might have to deal with that forever. Because if you remember when he first infernalized, it looked like his face was, I don't know, cut open or something. And so Vulcan starts thanking Arthur for what he's done. And then Arthur's like, "Don't hold back your praise. Praise me more." And he's like, "I am the Night King. And it's thanks to you I've truly become the Night Thing, and for that I must thank you." And then Arthur zooms off once again after he detects Dragon. So he casts Zoom again, and Dragon is just chilling at a volcano, waiting for somebody. And Arthur shows up, says, "The sheer despair of a powerful being like Dragon spurs the world towards its termination." So Arthur knows what's up. He knows that to stop Adolla from the continuing the cataclysm as is, that the powerful have to stop despairing. And Dragon is despairing, either from propaganda from the evangelists or the fact that he's never had a true rival. Maybe that's what Arthur is fulfilling here. And he shows up. He says, "I can't keep him waiting any longer." And Dragon is getting angry, just waiting. And then at the end of the chapter, Arthur basically says it's on his way. And it's really cool, like rival between them two. And I was still wondering if a dragon exists purely because of Arthur's imagination from playing Dragon Question. So these are really fun chapters. Very Arthur focused. Sumier basically told us what the end game is, but she could be holding back other things because she keeps showing up to shake our resolve as readers about where this is going. In the panel with Sumier too, you could see, you know how she was like upside down the first time she showed up before we went to the real world version of her? Well, now she was right side up, and it looked like either Inca or Amaterasu in the background. It was very hard to say who it was, but you got to see another pillar. Yeah. Boom. Totally. Giovanni's dead. I totally agree with that. He's just such an annoying villain. But Sumier is the mastermind of all this. She's like the most creepiest villain of Fire Force. But I did peek the 263 Raws. It is a giant battle. It's gonna be awesome. As soon as I get that done, I'll probably talk about Wednesday as normal. That's where I'm trying to stay on the schedule this time. So that if that means we're doing 2 chapters a week, because we are behind, and we'll continue to do 2 chapters a week. But I'm really sad that we don't have an anime right now. Honestly, there's so much going on that I really would like to see an ongoing anime, and it could be 2 years maybe, or a year and a half when we get another anime. So yeah, speaking of Arthur versus Dragon, it is next chapter. I did peek at the Raws, but I want to be able to read the heck what's going on, so I didn't spoil too much about it. But yeah, so that's Fire Force this week. Good times. If you're not a fan of Fire Force, now is the time to get into it. Check out the anime. Check out the manga. You can get it Yen Press and all that kind of stuff like too. So